Hi, my name is Joel, and this semester for my capstone I worked on these Ford trucks, and I learned some techniques along the way. I'd love to share them with you, so without further ado, this is 5 techniques on how to create cars using Maya and Substance. Technique 1. Distortions. Distortions are very important for creating that car look because they're going to give you that bend. And so you see here I go to deform, nonlinear, and bend. In my attribute editor here, I'm now changing the curvature so that you can see that bend represented on the screen, and that's gonna take shape in the actual model. Now I'm rotating the bend so that it bends in the right direction. This can take a few tries to get right, but once you do, you can see I'm getting that bend shape that I want, but I'm also getting a weird fan-like shape because it's changing the whole model. So right now I'm going to flatten that, scale that to 0, and next you'll see me looking at this a little bit closer. It really helps to look from the top view and scaling that according to the grid. Now every car is different, so make sure that yours is perfectly straight if that's what you're going for. Technique 2. Sculpting in Maya. Now this is something that I wasn't aware Maya was even able to do, but turns out it is, and it ended up working really well for this project. So you're seeing me add edge loops because when I hit this subdivide tool up here, it's going to keep that shape, but it's also going to want to round where there isn't edges, so I'm holding the edges. Now the first tool I'm going to select, you see I went to sculpting and I'm hitting the grab tool right here. Now the tool settings being open is really important because that's going to allow me to change the size of the brush, the strength, and the symmetry, and this is very important. You see I didn't do it at first, but you're going to want the symmetry open for this because cars are symmetrical. I'm also getting this pinch look, so you see I selected the smooth tool here, and that's going to give me that's going to space it out and smooth it out, as well as the flatten tool, and that's going to get rid of all these hard edges. Now I'm sure you could see that this is looking kind of lumpy and not car-like. It does take some fiddling with, and it does take quite a bit of time of trying to get there. Technique 3. Retopologizing. Now once you have the desired look that you want, here you can see I've got a much better looking car, but if you go in here you can see that I still have some topology issues, which is where retopologizing comes in handy. So first I'm gonna go up to make live surface, that's this magnet looking thing, and then I'm gonna go down to quad draw down here on the right. Make sure symmetry is selected, and then I'm going to lay in these 4 points, and you see they're on the other side as well. And then when I hold shift and click, it lays in these squares, and you can see I can move them around, but it sticks to that surface, meaning that I can literally draw on the quads. Another thing you can also do is if you hold Alt, you can subdivide it and make it more subdivided. Technique 4. Special Instance Duplication. Now this may sound scary, but really all this means is that I'm going to be making a tire and duplicating the tread along the axis. So you can see I'm going to select make live surface and quad draw again, and just like before I'm going to draw on the squares. Now it's not very important that it's perfect, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I really do recommend that you have a reference for the tread and look closely at that. Now I'm going to select the surface I just made and then go to duplicate special, open that dialog box, and make sure it's set to these settings: instance, rotate 5 degrees every time, and 72 instances, and then I'm going to get this look. Now you remember how I said earlier that it didn't need to be perfect? Well, if I make it live again and then I go back to quad draw and select that first surface, then I can edit every single one in the instance at once. And this is really helpful at getting a certain look. And you could use this for other things in tires, but in this instance it is very helpful for that. Now the next thing we're going to do is extrude it. And clearly you know how extruding works, but once we get it to the perfect height, you'll start to see that it looks a lot more like a tire does, and it'll need some tweaking. The tires, they are higher in the middle and lower down on the edges, but as you can see, once it's in that model with the hubcap and the treads tweaked, it looks a lot better. So, Technique 5. Car paint material / clear coat. Now, car paint isn't exactly like normal paint. You can see it's got this metallic flake look in it, and that I'm sure you recognize. This is how I accomplish that. I have this material set up. This is the base material, but I've got this noise, but you can plug in a different noise, but I preferred the look of this first one, so we're going to go with that. So first I have that noise, and then I shift that histogram, and then I also have a base color under all that, and then combined I create the normals from that. And the normals is important because that's going to make that shine off in different directions whenever it's on the actual model. But then also on top of that, I would like that variation to be into the metallic flake as well. So you can see I took that, made it grayscale, I leveled it out, increased the contrast that is, and combined that into making the metallic. And this was really a successful look, but it's not entirely done because you'll see down here I've got another thing, and this is the clear coat. Car paint has clear coat on top of it, and this is pretty basic here, but one thing to note is that I took a grunge map and I've applied it to the normal and the roughness so that once it's on the actual car it doesn't look perfect, which makes it look more realistic. And so that's what that looks like. Now if we take that into Substance Painter, we're going to start to see what that looks like on an actual car. Now Substance Painter isn't originally set up to support this clear coat function, so you're going to need to affect some settings to get it to work on your model, but once you do, it will work in Substance perfectly fine. So you can see I've got my model just freshly baked, and I'm going to add that material that we just made. I'm going to have to import it first, but then I'm going to put it on there. But then you can still see it's not looking exactly right, and that's because I need to go here to shader settings, go down to coat, and hit enable. Now this check mark is not going to originally be there, so you're going to need to enable that, and then you're going to go to texture set settings as well, depending on the material, but most ones won't have it. You're going to need to go down to this plus mark and hit coat color, coat opacity, and coat roughness. Coat specular level is also there, but that's optional and really not necessary for what we're doing, so we're going to ignore it for now. So you can see me messing with some of the settings and getting a look that I like, but now that we have that, we're going to go to export textures and find this button saying output templates, and then next you're going to want to find whatever material you're exporting in my case PBR metallic roughness, and then you're going to find these buttons up here that say create, and you can see I've already created 3 down here at the bottom, 2 gray and 1 RGB, and those represent the coat color, the coat opacity, and the coat roughness. And I've clicked and I've dragged from over here on the right those to their representative boxes over here, and once I've done that, it will automatically update your export settings for that material, and so all you have to do from there is export. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. To see the full video of my rendered scene that I made, you can check my channel.